Hello and welcome to today's review. Today I'm going to talk about a movie called The Fantastic Four: First Steps. It is a Marvel movie. It is a very phase one feeling Marvel film, and that's a really good thing. Let's discuss this movie. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, I hope that you would click on the subscribe button. I hope that you would click on the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post new content. And I hope that you would follow me on Instagram, X, and Rumble. I post on those platforms as well. Okay, let's talk about this movie. So, Marvel. It would come as no surprise to you to hear that, in my opinion, the last several years of Marvel films have been mostly hot garbage. We've gotten some really good stuff, right? We've gotten Spider-Man No Way Home. I thought it was tremendous. Huge fan, loved every second of it. We got Deadpool and Wolverine. Huge fan, loved every second of it. Thought it was very kind of like middle finger to everything they've been doing, and I think it really, really worked out well. The rest of it has mostly been varying degrees of garbage. I did like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness because it felt very much like they just gave Sam Raimi a bunch of money and said, hey, make a Marvel movie, and I'm a big Sam Raimi guy, and I thought it was fine. We've had a bunch of shows which I think have really kind of diluted the brand. I didn't see Moon Knight, I didn't see She-Hulk, I didn't see Miss Marvel, and I did not see Hawkeye. Basically, I haven't really watched much of any of the shows. I did see WandaVision, and the director of that is actually the guy that directed First Steps. So it's been very middling since Endgame. They've really kind of stumbled around trying to find their way and figure out what's next. And I think this is kind of the first time since then that they've really figured it out. After Disney purchased 20th Century Fox and brought them into the fold, they now had to figure out, hey, what are we going to do with the X-Men? And what are we going to do with the Fantastic Four? Those are the two big questions. They figured out a little bit of the X-Men stuff with Deadpool and Wolverine. A lot of mixing in famous characters, throwing in like Blade, which was amazing. Channing Tatum's version of Gambit, which I thought was awesome. Bringing back Elektra was weird and cool and funny. So they've definitely been kind of trying to figure out what works. Rumor on the street is they're going to do an X-Men reboot with a very young X-Men. And Fantastic Four is now here, right? And I think really the big question is the casting. Who is going to play in Marvel's first family? I think that Vanessa Kirby is freaking awesome as Sue Storm. I think that Ebon Moss-Bachrach is really, really good as the Thing. We don't even get to see Ben Grimm's face because this is certainly not an origin story. They're well into their time as the protectors of Earth. I think that Joseph Quinn is a really good Johnny Storm. I think he maybe could dial up the energy a tick in certain parts. But I've always liked him as an actor. He's one of those up-and-coming guys that I think is pretty good in everything. And I think he's overall really good in that role. And then the big question is Pedro Pascal, right? Where is he fit into all of this as Reed Richards? And I think the movie, I think he's trying his best, but I don't think he really pulls this role off well. Instead of coming off like the smartest man in the world, he comes off like Pedro Pascal pretending to be the smartest man in the world. I don't necessarily think that's his fault. I think the problem is that he's in everything now. He was in The Last of Us, cast as a beloved role as Joel. He was in Gladiator 2. He was in the DC universe in Wonder Woman as Maxwell Lord in 1984, which was just a mess of a movie. And he's just in too much. So everybody's like, okay, more Pedro Pascal. And you kind of feel like that when you watch the movie, at least I did. I'm interested to see how they integrate him into, and really integrate the Fantastic Four into the greater MCU. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with that. And they figured out some other Marvel stuff in No Way Home, right? They got Daredevil in the mix, in a very brief appearance by Charlie Cox. So there's some things happening there as well. I think overall this movie though is really, really good. It's nice to see them be able to do a phase one kind of, or not origin story, but a phase one feeling movie. And I think instead of trying to one-up themselves post-Endgame, like they kind of try to do with Quantumania, you have them going back to the basics of what works. And the aesthetic here is tremendous. The 60s setting and the music and the style and the tone really, really works. And I think it helps this movie particularly because the Fantastic Four in their weird blue jumpsuits with the number 4 on it is kind of goofy and weird, but that fits into this particular time period with technology being the way it is and just the whole style and look and feel of the film. It really does work out well. So I think the performances overall are really good. I like what they did with Galactus. This movie is significantly better than the Josh Trank film, obviously by like orders of magnitude, and it's way better than the Tim Story early mid-2000s Fantastic Four movies. Those movies I didn't think were very good at all. They have their defenders, but this version of Galactus is much better. There's been this weird like hate around Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer, and I actually think she's awesome. I think every single scene that she's in, she has like that gravitas as an actress to really pull that role off and brings like a surprising amount of emotional weight to the role that I was not prepared for. And overall, that's kind of a theme with this movie. There is a lot of emotional heft to the storyline and the whole family thing, like, oh, we're family. There's a lot of that played up in the trailers, but I think in this movie, it does work really well. I didn't really have any major critiques other than I didn't love the casting of Pedro Pascal. This felt like, you know, despite world-destroying Galactus, it felt like more condensed and lower stakes. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. It just felt more like, okay, Marvel's doing back to what they know. And I think a good idea would be to build off movies like this. And I think they kind of have to ignore the last 5 years and start over. And this movie feels like a good, for lack of a better term, first step in that. And yeah, so I really like this movie. I think I liked it way more than I thought I would. And it's nice to see Marvel doing what Marvel knows how to do well again. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Follow me on my social medias, and I'll see you next Saturday at 9 a.m.